Welcome to Explorer's Guide Maritime Academy. My name is Gary Coolibert. I'm the head instructor with Explorer's Guide, and I want to do a review of our rules of the road, what I normally do for the classroom settings and that. So for those who have not had that opportunity, I'd like to go through this. Again, I'm going to be using our rules book, and I want to refer to, in the presentation, both the front and the back covers. They depict a lot of the boats and the way they are lit, which is very important. So let's get into it. Why do we have the rules of the road? Basically, it's to avoid collision. And so basically, when there's a collision, we apply the rules of the road. Pretty straightforward. Now, when we talk about rules of the road, it's very important to keep in mind these are law. They're black and they're white. There is no gray. So it's not how you would interpret it. It is what does the law say. If just like the speed sign says 25 miles an hour, that is what the speed is. It's not what is enforced. So it's very important to keep in mind these are black and white. Go with the law. Don't go with your interpretation of it. Okay, we also are going to talk about inland and international rules. These are separated by what is called the Coleridge line. And again, you should have seen those on the charts as you went through plotting. Again, anything seaward of the Coleridge line will be international rules. Anything shoreward of the Coleridge line will be international rules. So I'm going to run through the rules. There are 38 rules, excuse me. The first three provide some definitions, provide a base, and then rules 4 through 19 are highway rules. These are the same as you drive your car, your truck, or any other vehicle, be it on the water or on the road. These rules are pretty much the same. So again, when you get into questions or out on the water, apply the same concepts and you really can't go wrong. Okay, Rule 1 defines that all vessels upon the high seas in all waters connected therein, waters that go all the way up to Duluth, Minnesota, are international rules. So vessels that comply with those international rules when they come into inland waters. So again, all vessels upon the high seas and connecting waters therein. They make sense. They're out on the ocean. Therefore, they're following international rules. That's basically Rule 1. Rule 2 is very, very important. And basically it says nothing in the rules shall exonerate, forgive any vessel or the owner, master, or crew from the consequence of any neglect to comply with these rules or that of a common seafarer. So again, even if you own the boat and you're not on the water, if your crew messes up, you as the owner can be held responsible for it. So it's very, very important, again, why we comply with the rules. It goes on to say that, however, we can depart from the rules in immediate danger. When we're going to have a collision, we can take what action within reason, prudent, that we can, including departing from the rules to avoid a collision. Very important part. Rule 3 goes to a bunch of definitions. Power driven is powered by mechanical propulsion. Then it goes on to what a sail vessel is basically sails are up and there is no motor. The only time we hear sailboats, or refer to them as sailboats, is when they are under sail and not powered. The moment power comes on, they're power-driven vessel. Not under command, the boats broke. From extenuating circumstances, they cannot comply with the rules. Again, it makes sense. In sight of another, very, very important. Many of these rules apply only when I can see you by eye, not by radar, not by any other means, but when I can see you with my eyes. And then we get into restricted visibilities, everything but that, except for darkness. Darkness, I can see your lights, and therefore that is not restricted visibility. And again, one of the other very important ones is underway. Underway means the boat is floating free. It does not say making way. So you're out there drifting, you are underway, you must comply with these rules. Again, you're not anchored, moored, or aground, you're floating free. Keep that in mind, it's very important. Because again, there is only one rule that even talks about making way, and it's a sound signal. Everything else talks about underway. Moving or not moving is what's included. Okay, and it goes on to some other definitions, which we'll refer to as we go through. First rule, Rule 5, lookout. When? At all times. Once that last line leaves the dock, You are underway, and therefore you shall have a lookout by sight and hearing at all times, full appraisal of it. The next one down is, okay, we have our lookout. Now we want to go travel at safe speed. When do we apply safe speed? Again, at all times. Once we're underway, we will apply that criteria. And again, safe speed is where we can take an appropriate and effective action to avoid a collision and stop within the prevailing distances. It's no different on the highway. The criteria for that is visibility, traffic density, maneuverability, state of the wind, sea, and current. All these rules, again, will make sense if you consider that you're on a 60-foot vessel, not on a 16 or an 18-foot vessel. Our small boats are exceptions in many ways. The rules are really designed for larger boats. So again, keep in mind that you're on a big boat, then your rules make a little bit more sense. Okay, then we go on to rule 7, risk of collision. How do we know we have a risk of collision? Constant bearing, decreasing range. If the bearing stays the same and the range decreasing, we're on a collision course. Pretty straightforward. Constant bearing, increasing range, they're going away. Constant bearing, constant range, they're parallel. So it's a decreasing range, constant bearing, risk of collision. Okay, so we have our lookout at all times, safe speed at all times, and then we're determined if there's a risk of collision. If there is, then we come back down to rule 8, which says that you're going to take any action to avoid a collision shall be according to the rules and be positive, effective, and early. And then it goes on to say that any action you do take needs to be large and apparent to the other vessel. So they know what you're doing, they're not guessing. And then it goes on to say if we need more time to assess the situation, we slow down to bare steerage. We don't take all the way off because you can't steer them. So we're down to bare steerage. So a lookout at all times. We're going to safe speed all times. We're assessing if there's a risk of collision. And then the rules say how we're going to take that corrective action. If you notice in the rules, they don't tell you what to do. That is a prudent mariner, you're supposed to know. It's simply telling you what the criteria and what should happen with that. Okay, now we go down to narrow channels. The narrow channels, we stay to the starboard side. Just like on a road, we stay to the right. When we're on the water, we stay to the right, which is the starboard side of the vessel. We are not going to impede the passage of any vessel. It's got to stay within the channel, period. And then it goes on to particular by crossing, anchoring, or commercial fishing. So again, in narrow channels, boats that have the right-of-way, quote unquote, go up and down the river. They got to stay within a channel. Boats less than 20 meters, 65 feet, or sail will not impede their passage. And then again, it goes on to by not anchoring, mooring, commercial fishing, and crossing. Okay. Rule 10 talks about traffic separation zones, schemes. These are basically big highways for big boats. The big thing that we need to know is that we don't go in them. If we are going to have to cross over one, what we're going to have to do is call control and let them know what we're doing, and they will advise us on how to proceed. Normally, you see these out on the ocean, entering ports such as Los Angeles, Chesapeake Bay, and the like. Inland waters, you're not going to see these. So those are the first 10 rules, kind of sets a basis that we follow. Rule 11 through 19 are when I can see you. If I can see you, these rules apply. This is important. If I cannot see you, these rules do not apply. Very important. Okay, rule 12, sailboats. You have two sailboats coming together, risk of collision. Again, they're under sail, not under power. The wind on the port side will give way to the wind on the starboard side. Port gives way to starboard if they're on different tacks, wind on different sides of boats. It then goes on to say if we have two boats on the same direction, the one to windward will give way to the one leeward, downwind. And the reason for that is the windward boat has the wind and has the control. Pretty straightforward, again, on sailboats. Port gives way to starboard on different tacks. Windward gives way to leeward if they're on the same direction, same tack. Okay. Overtaking. Overtaking is passing. And this applies no different than on the highway. Any vessel, and again, the key word there is any vessel. It doesn't say power driven, it doesn't say big, small, or indifferent. Any vessel, kayak, canoe, Queen Mary, overtaking another shall always keep out of the way of the other vessel until you are passed and clear. Just like on the highway. If a big semi is passing you, their obligation is to pass you safely, and that obligation goes away when they have passed and clear safely and can get back in their lanes. No different on the water. Again, overtaking any vessel. How do we know when you're overtaking? At night, it's the stern light, 135 degrees. During the day, you're going to see, again, you're going to see the stern light. You're coming up on the backside of the boat or on the side of it. That's overtaking. Okay, so we have overtaking. Now we have head-on. Head-on is when two power-driven vessels are meeting. There is a risk of collision, and so it's reciprocal or near reciprocal, basically head-on. What you're going to do is, unless otherwise agreed upon, you're going to go to starboard and pass port to port. That is the only rule that I know of. It tells you where to turn and when. Just like on a highway, we pass on our right side, we pass on our, excuse me, on our left side, we pass on our port side. Okay, crossing situation. Crossing again is not head on, not overtaking. So it's within the degrees on our side, on either side, and we give way to the right. We give way to the starboard side. So any vessel on our starboard side, power driven, we're going to give way to them, and we're going to avoid going in front of them. We're going to go behind them and pass them properly, or we're going to wait and let them pass. So head on, we go to starboard, pass port to port. Neither one has the right of way. Overtaking, the boat being passed, overtaken, it has the right of way. And then when talking a crossing situation, any vessel to our starboard, that vessel has the right of way, and we will give way to them. Just like on the highway, pretty straightforward. Okay, now we have give way and stand on. So a vessel is either give way, stand on, or neither. The give way boat basically does whatever it can to stay out of the way of the other vessel. If you're the giveaway boat, if you're the one that's overpassing, if you're the one that's crossing, and you have somebody on your starboard side, you're the giveaway boat. And what you'll do is take whatever positive action you can to not impede their passage. Pretty straightforward. The next one is a stand-on vessel, which actually has 3 requirements. First, you will maintain course and speed. Secondly, when it becomes apparent, you will then take a corrective action, again, to avoid a collision, because the boat that's coming at you obviously doesn't know what they're doing, and they're not giving way, so you have to take an action. The final part of that is if there's a risk of collision to the point where the giveaway vessel cannot resolve it, then you're obligated to take whatever action, again, you can. So stand-on vessel, maintains course and speed, may take an action when it's apparent, shall take an action to avoid a collision on it. Now, this stand-on vessel part, say you get a big boat overtaking you and you're the stand-on vessel. Well, you will, first action you have is you maintain course and speed. If it becomes obvious very quickly this vessel is going to run you over, you get out of the way. So maintaining course and speed may last just for a moment or two, or it may last through the whole process. Either way. Okay. Now, Rule 18. Back of your books on page 23, I have this rule listed along with the day shapes, lights, and fog signals. So I'm going to run through those now, then we'll touch on the rules, the lights later on. Okay. Open water when I can see you. Those are the criteria. If we're open water and I cannot see you by restricted visibility, none of the boats are stand on or give way. None of them. So if I asked you what boat in the fog has got the right of way, none of them do. Only when I can see you. So this is order of priority. Some people call them privileged vessels. I call them special. There's a number of other terms that go for them. But basically, we stay out of their ways of any vessel above us. So again, let's go back through Rule 18 on page 9. I'm going to go through those. But again, on page 23 is a little diagram. and explains all this. It's very, very important to understand these vessels out on the open water as well as on the exams itself. First one is not under command. This boat is broke, cannot through exceptional circumstances comply with the rules. Out of gas, rudder stuck, could be a host of things. I know that because it's going to run up 2 black balls or 2 red lights, and in the fog, it's going to sound a prolong and 2 shorts. The next vessel down is restricting the ability to maneuver by the nature of her work. The nature of her work. These boats are doing work out there, not transporting cargo or people from place to place. Red, white, red are the lights. Ball, diamond, ball are the day shapes. And again, the fog signals are prolonged and 2 shorts. Next one down is constraint by draft. These are boats that draft a considerable amount of water, 40, 50 feet in depth. These are international rules only. Very important. If any questions come up, or if you're on inland waters, these boats don't exist. They're just a big boat. So a constraint by draft, international only, outside the coal rigs line, will have 3 red lights at night, and during the day, they will have a cylinder. And guess what? The fog signals are prolonged and 2 shorts. Next one down is engaged in fishing or trawling, not trolling. If you're involved in fishing, commercial fishing with nets, long lines, etc., you'll have red over white in place of the masthead light. If you're trawling, you're moving. If you're moving, you'll have a green over white light. The day shape is 2 cones, apex to apex for both of them. And yes, the fog signals are prolonged and 2 shorts. The next one down is sailing. Remember, these are your sails are up, you're under sail, no motor, no propulsion. Okay, they have side lights and stern, and a optional light at the top, red over green. There is no masthead light. Red over green, side lights and stern light. There is no day shape. The fog signal, of course, is a prolonged and 2 shorts. Now we're going to drop down to power driven. There are a number of boats under power driven. Anything that's not covered above, particular towing, pilot, and safety vessels. Okay. The power driven boats, let's go through those, which we're going to talk about, will be on page 10, application of lights and day shapes. I'll talk about that in a moment. We're going to go through all the lights for power driven and towing. But first, I want to hit on Rule 19. 19 is conduct and restricted visibility. Basically, I can't see you. We're out in open water. If I hear something forward of the beam, I'm going to drop down to bare steerage and proceed with caution. That's all we can do. I have no idea who you are. None of the boats have right of way until I can see you with my eyes. Again, a very important concept. Okay, let's talk about lights. Lights are on from sunset to sunrise throughout the day, or restricted visibility, or when you deem it's necessary. So you as a captain, if you feel lights are important beyond, you're going to turn them on. So lights are not on just at dark. They're on other times as well. Day shapes are black. They're shown during the day. Okay, lights, masthead, 225 degrees facing forward. It's always white, it's always face forward, and it's on any vessel that is power driven, or it is not on boats like sail because they don't have propulsion. Not under command does not have a masthead light either. Or a boat being towed do not have masthead lights because they're not under their own power. Mechanical propulsion. Side lights are half of that with green on our starboard and red on our port. Of course, we have our stern light, which is white facing backwards, 135. And then we have a tow light, and the tow light is yellow, and it always either is above the mast, above the stern light, or if there is no stern light, there'll be 2 of them. Okay. So let's drop down to Rule 23. Power-driven vessel, side lights, mast, and stern, under 50 meters. Now, our boats that are less than 12 meters, we combine lights and everything else, and we're going to set those aside because they get very confusing. We're in a big boat, remember, we're in a 60-foot or 70-foot boat. Side lights, mast, and stern at 50 meters, power driven. We add a second masthead light abaft, back by the stern, and higher. So the masthead light that's at the back of the boat is higher than the one in front, so that it can be seen. And secondly, it draws an arrow which way that boat is going. Beyond 50 meters does not make any difference. It's still side lights, a double masthead, and a stern light. Okay. Towing. Towing is a polar-driven vessel. And in the back of your book, on the inside cover, I show the diagrams there. Now, towing is pretty straightforward. We always light the tug first, and then we light whatever is being towed second. Always do that. Towing astern. Any boat that's towing will have a double masthead light and a vertical line. If it's towing, it must have a double masthead light and a vertical line. It's just the way it is. Side lights and stern. Now, if I'm towing astern behind us, there is a tow light above the stern light. So it's yellow over white. We're not alone tonight. There's something back here. Pretty straightforward. Inland, international, it does not make any difference. It is exactly the same. The double masthead, side lights, tow light, over stern light. Now, if we drop the rig back more than 200 meters, we have the third masthead light and a vertical line. First one says power, second one says tow, third masthead light says big tow. Pretty straightforward. The day shape is a diamond when it's 200 meters or greater. Inland, international, does not make any difference. We cross the crow rigs line, everything stays the same. Okay, now let's talk about towing on the hip. The difference on towing on the hip is inland and international are different. First, let's do international. I have my side lights, my double masthead. As I said, 2 masthead lights are always required for any towing. And on the stern, I'm going to have a stern light, no tow light. On the rig that's being towed will be side lights and a stern light, be it on the side or in front or towed behind. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, we cross into inland waters. There is a subtle change. We go from no yellow lights to 3. We turn off the stern light and we get our double yellow, yellow over yellow and a pushy fellow. On the object on our hip or in front, we'll have a special flash in yellow. So these, again, the thing to keep in mind is that international towing only has 1 yellow, and that's a stern tow. Pretty straightforward. Pushing ahead, there are no yellows on international, but on inland, there's 3. We replace the stern light with the double yellows, and we put the special flashing one on the barge. Now, the barge is right in front of the tug, of course, will not have a stern light for obvious reasons. Okay. Again, when I cross the crow rigs line from international into inland waters, pushing ahead, I will turn off my stern light and I turn on 2 yellows and I put the special yellow on the barge. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Pilot. A pilot is a high-priced taxi cab taking out a very good captain, and it will be white over red. Pilots making bread, side lights, and stern. No special privileges. It's just so they can be found. The other one we have is the public safety. I call it the mall cop, but it's flashing yellow and red. No special conveyances or privileges, simply to be found. Okay. Underway. Sail or oars. Again, side light, stern, we talked about the various aspects. They, again, if it's less than 23 feet, 7 meters, they do not have to have lights under oars or sail, 23 meters, 7 meters. They will have to have electric torch or lit lantern to be shown in time to avoid a collision. Okay. We went through those. The divers, there's the page 16, you'll see the alpha flag. That stays with the boat where the divers or underwater operation going on. So you'll see at night the red, white, red, but during the day you'll see the alpha flag. Okay, let's go talk about at anchor. At anchor, you're not underway, you're anchored or moored. pretty straightforward. Vessels less than 50 meters will have one day shape will be a ball of any size. The light will be an all around for less than 50 meters. At beyond 50 meters and up to 100, there are two anchor lights. The second one is abaft, back up by the stern, and lower, which is opposite of the masthead light. Please do not get those mixed up. That's a common mistake. The masthead light's abaft and higher. The anchor light is at the stern or abaft and lower. Abaft means behind us, okay? At 100 meters, we add deck lights. So this is at anchor. If you're in a special anchorage area approved by the Secretary, less than 20 meters, you have no lights on. You're not required to have any lights on. Okay. The only other one I need to touch on is towing on the Mississippi River north of the Huey P. Long Bridge, which is in New Orleans. Basically, they will not have any masthead lights. And it's because of low bridges and tradition on that. Okay. Let's go talk about sounds. A short blast is 1 second. A prolong, there are no longs, just a prolong is 4 to 6 seconds long. The short is when I can see you. The prolongs are when I cannot see you. So equipment on a boat, less than 12 meters, we have our effective sound making device. From 12 to 20, we have a bell. From 20 on up, 20 meters on up, we have a whistle and a bell. And at 100 meters, we have the gong. So again, those are where we have our sound, our devices. Okay, the easiest way to remember maneuvering is first it's going to be a short because I can see you. I just like tapping the horn. One short, I'm going to leave you on my port, on my left side of the boat. Two shorts, I'm going to leave you on my starboard side of the boat. 3 is stern propulsion. 5 is danger. It's basically somebody's trying to back into you in a parking lot and you're slamming on the horn. Same thing. It's danger to warn the other boat. Now, consider this very importantly. It's what side of the boat I am showing you of mine. So if I'm overtaking her on her port, I'm going to be showing my starboard, correct? 2 shorts. If I'm overtaking her on her starboard, I'm showing her my port, 1 short. So again, it's the boat, the side of the boat that I'm showing you will be either the 1 or the 2. Very simple to remember. You got to read the questions though. Okay. Internationally, it says basically, the 1 and 2 says I'm going to be going to starboard or going to port. But if you apply the same concept of 1 short, my port, because I'm going to be showing you my port when I pass you, you'll have it. Now, overtaking inland is pretty much just as I just explained. Depends on what side of the boat you're showing her. International is different. It's one of the different rules. Again, something to keep in mind. 2 prolongs plus 1 or 2 shorts depends on which side I'm going to show you. So if I'm overtaking you on your port, I'm going to show you my starboard. It's going to be 2 prolongs followed by the 2 shorts. Your response back to me is going to be a prolong, short, prolong, short. So this is very different than inland rules. So it's something you're going to have to go over a couple times and remember. Again, a key thing is a short, I can see you. A prolong is leaving the dock, going around the bend where you can't be seen, or in the fog. Why? Because I can't see you. So I'm going to give you more noise there. And a bell is for when we're not underway but at anchor. Those 3 concepts you can keep in mind. It goes a long ways. Okay. Let's talk about fog signals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you write that down, again, it's in the back of the book. It's the easiest way to remember them. And I have people flunk exams because they miss up on these types of questions, and I don't understand why. If you take the time and understand what I'm saying, and literally write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are number of sound signals. 1, prolong, moving. I'm power driven. I'm out there moving. Only power driven, and I'm moving. I'm underway and moving. It's the only one that actually talks about making way. 2 prolongs, not moving. What that means is that we are drifting. When you're in the water and you're not under propulsion, you are drifting, right? 2 prolongs, not moving, not under propulsion. Prolong and 2 shorts, special lights. If you have a special light that we just went through, the new rules to catch fish, including towing, it's a prolong and 2. Again, if it's got a light outside your standard navigation lights, it's a prolong and 2. It's that simple. A prolong and 3, MTOW, manned tow. It's the last boat in the tow, not the second to last, et cetera, et cetera. It's the last boat in the tow. If manned, we'll have a prolong and 3 after the prolong and 2 from the tug. The last one is a prolong and 4, 5 signals, and it spells out pilot. They will sound the 4 shorts if they want to be found in a harbor. They'll give a prolong and 4. Again, 1 through 5, if you write that down, it's pretty straightforward of it. Okay, again, these are used when I cannot see you. Remember, in restricted visibilities, no one has the right of way because I don't know who you are. I can't see you. Okay, let's talk about at anchor. At anchor, less than 12 meters, we're going to use our effective sound making device. From a boat that's anchor that's larger than that, it's going to ring the bell for 5 seconds. At 100 meters, in this case, there's no 50 meters. At 100 meters, it's going to be ring the bell for 5 and hit the gong for 5 seconds. We have an optional sound, short, prolonged shorts, only whistle at anchor to warn approaching vessels if they do not hear us. Again, very straightforward. If I have the misfortune of running aground, we add 2 red lights along with our appropriate anchor lights. We have the 2 red because we're not under command or aground. And the day shape, of course, is 3 balls. At night in the fog, I'm going to hit the bell 3 distinctive times, ring the bell, and ring the bell 3 distinctive times. So 3 balls, 3 hits of the bell, then ring the bell if I am aground. Okay. Then we go on to distress signals. Continuous sounding of a foghorn. Think of that car alarm that just went off at 2 in the morning, how you're there, you understand it, you hate it. Continuous sounding of a foghorn. Our orange flares, our red flares, our orange smoke, and then our flag or orange flag with the ball and a square in it. Those are our typical distress signals there. Okay. The only other one we want to hit on, couple, is if you have, of course, law enforcement flashing blue light special. Again, public service, the mall cop, as I call them, the red and yellow flashing lights. Dredge lines are a series of yellow buoys. Now, if I run up to a dredge or any operation, and they don't want us to pass on that side, there's going to be 2 red lights or 2 black balls. The side they want us to pass will be 2 green lights and 2 diamonds. Again, green means go, red means stop. That is a pretty good summary of the rules. I strongly suggest that you go through your book from page 23 on. On 23, it's the new rules catch fish. And again, I have the priorities, the lights, the day shapes, and the fog signals. It's one that's worth studying. On page 24 of our rules book, in the middle there, I have our sound signal memory aid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, very straightforward. Short, I can see you. Prolong, I cannot. Round the bend, leave the dock, or restricted visibility. And then, of course, the bell when we are not underway. Well, I hope this helps. I know it's a rather quick review. In the back, there are those 4 exams from page 26 on. Please, if you have not, do them, review them. They are not multiple choice. The exams are multiple choice. But what I'm trying to do is get you to associate information to make the exam a lot easier. Okay, let me talk about the exam just for a minute, and then I'm done with the rules. 1, read the question. Read all of it. Every word that's there. Is it on her port or your port? I've had way too many people flunk the rules because they never read the question. They skimmed it. You can't do it. Also, read all 4 answers before you pick one. If you follow that, you have a better chance of passing. Okay. Two, when you're done, only read the question and the answer you picked. I've had guys who got everything right on exams, went back, reread all the questions, all the answers, and they flunked because they changed the right answers to wrong. Use your intuition. Whatever you know is what you want. What your mind thinks is what you want to use. You don't want to second guess yourself. Please don't second guess yourself. So again, make sure you go through that way. Use capital letters, A, B, C's, because small letters can be confusing. And I wish you best of luck on the exams. Again, thanks for taking our courses. Again, don't if you have application questions, please check out our website under Explorers Guide, llc.com, application help. This video clip and those clips will be on our webpage as well. And I have a dump cat here that's going to get in the way. So best of luck. Take care.